Back is Dorsey to throw. Yeah! He throws it in the end zone.
Off to the races. Can they catch it? Cuts it back. Ohio State
wins. The Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Runyon. And welcome back to the Ohio State of Mind podcast. It is Monday, the 2nd of November. I am Chris Runyon. To my left, maybe your right, actually to your left as well. Who am I kidding? Is the main man, Josh Keeley. Josh, how are you doing on this first Monday of December?
Been better, dude. Been better, man. That was the worst loss in the last 10 years. It has to be. It has to be. Not only did you lose to your rival, you lost to your unranked rival when you were favored by 21 points with the rumored richest roster in the Big Ten to an offense that was dead last in the Big Ten coming into the week. The only thing that makes it somewhat edible is that I feel a little bit vindicated because I said that Ryan Day sucked. I said that they should have fired him last year. I'm a little confused why there's people still out there acting like Ohio State's going to have a real chance in the playoffs after watching another pathetic coaching performance. Because that was 100% the coaches, 100% the coaches. You know what I mean? We can make the excuses. Let's dive into it. Let's dive into it.
Well, let me put the stop sign in front of you. This is the 55th episode of the Ohio State of Mind podcast, and we think number 55. Me certainly. I think about Nick Mangold, young freshman thrusted into a national championship game due to an injury, and the rest is history. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, man, Nick Mangold's the best, dude. That's the one. Not only did he completely dominate at Ohio State, graduate from Centerville, Ohio product, he also had an amazing roughly 10-year career with the New York Jets in the NFL. First round center. I mean, it's pretty crazy what he accomplished. There's a couple other guys that had really productive careers. Aaron Brown was an All-American linebacker, went on to have a hell of a career at the CFL level. Jerome Foster, a defensive end, had a fantastic career there in the 80s, was all Big Ten. And one of the more, depending on how old you are, some of you guys might remember Jonathan Newsom. Jonathan Newsom was like a pretty highly recruited guy, Mr. Ohio, who was at Ohio State, I think, as a freshman, and then he transferred to Northern Illinois, had a hell of a career at Northern Illinois, and then had a hell of a career in the CFL. I think it's always interesting to talk about those guys that have transferred out and have thrived somewhere, especially with, this was before the day and age of the transfer portal. So just another interesting little nod there. But yeah, Nick Mangold's definitely the play at 55.
Absolutely. So now, and again, of course, to the 59 individuals that are tuned in right now, please feel free, jump in the comments, whether you're a Buckeye fan, you're a Wolverine fan. We've got thick skin. We can take it. We know that product on the field was not grade A, and we got our butts handed to us. And hey, come on in here and gloat if you want to. Hey, we're equal opportunity here. We're an Ohio State podcast. You want to come give us the business? As long as you hit that like and subscribe button, you come in here and do whatever you want. But back to that game. Let me go ahead and throw this graphic up again. Yeah, you just see a 5-year. We call it a 6-year. Well, we'll call it 5 years. Ohio State got the one win there against Michigan. But of course, we're not counting the 1 year where they didn't play in 2020. But put it in comparison to Ohio State and Michigan losses. Is this worse than 95?
Yeah, it's the worst. Dude, they were 21 points. I don't think that they were 21-point favorites at 95, were they?
I don't think they could. Dude, I don't think it's possible to be that.
It's so much worse, man. Think about what you're dealing with, dude. You're dealing with the guy who's lost 3 times in a row, okay?
Yes.
Everything has lined up in Ryan Day's, everything has fallen into his lap, man. Nick Saban retires. You get the benefits of Caleb Downs. You get, you just so happens you get Jeremiah Smith, the best receiver recruit maybe in the history of college football, according to some. Okay, You finally get your NIL shit together. You bring in guys like Seth McLaughlin, Will Howard. You choose Will Howard over Cam Ward, okay? Chip Kelly walks away from UCLA. He's your new offensive coordinator. A Big Ten head coach walks away from their fucking job to be your offensive coordinator, who, some guy you viewed as your dad, right? You have enough NIL money to keep all these dudes that we were told first-round picks to stay. They all say the same stupid shit when they all came back. We want to beat Michigan. We want to beat Michigan. We want to beat Michigan. Harbaugh leaves, takes his defensive coordinator, takes their strength and conditioning coach. 40 dudes leave. They got to play some dude at quarterback who was a former walk-on. They completely they sucked all season long. All season long. They're barely 500, dude. You got one of the best teams in the country. Everything is falling into your lap. You're 21-point favorites. Most Ohio State fans' buttholes were clinched so hard they would have just taken the win. You couldn't even do. You couldn't fucking do that. You couldn't do that. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is the worst. This is the worst loss. This is worse loss than Someone said, "Oh, well, what about when Urban Meyer lost to Purdue?" Okay, well, yeah, but they were. So this is worse. This is Michigan. This is worse, dude. This is so much worse, bro. Like I can't. You had all these Ryan Day apologists tell me that this year's different. We talked about at the beginning of the fucking season, Chris. There's 3 big games on the schedule. There's 3. Now we didn't know Indiana was going to be any good. Okay, so I'll give you 4. Okay. Yeah. He went 2-2 on the motherfuckers. He lost to Oregon. He lost to Michigan. If it wasn't for fucking James Franklin, Ryan Day would have no job. If it wasn't for James Franklin, him dominating James Franklin, he would have no job. I don't understand what's happening, dude. He's Larry Coker, man. Only Larry Coker won the championship, dude. How do you do that? And then your team is panicking. They're getting in fights, swinging. Why? Because they planted the flag on the field. Newsflash, they fucking won 4 years in a row. They own that field now. They own that field. Go to the fucking locker. If you would have fought that hard during the fucking game, maybe they wouldn't have had the right to put the flag on the field, dude. Fucking get the fuck out of there. Why are they standing on the field just watching them? Get the fuck. It's a fucking embarrassing, dude.
Well, maybe we can thrust Coach Ryan Stewart back into the program. 200 plus rushing yards right at the Ohio State linebackers. Yeah.
The same play.
Just got bullied.
Let's talk. Let's break it down. I'm going to talk. Let
me ask you this. Okay. Is it the worst loss against Michigan? Yes. Is it the worst loss in program history?
Yes. That's not true. That's not true. In order for you to say something with that confidence in a span of history, you have to be alive.
Yeah.
I think I can confidently say it's the worst loss in the last 10 years because it's utterly embarrassing. When you take everything in consideration as far as the offseason goes, as far as the expectation goes, as far as them falling apart, dude, they're gonna get better. What these people that are acting like this is gonna turn around, when they bring in the 5-star quarterback who can actually throw the ball, when they return all their starters except for 2 defensive tackles, dude, they didn't even have. And my dad's gonna love that I bring this up again. They didn't even have Will Johnson. Will Johnson quit on the season, bro. He's been questionable for like 5 years in a row. He didn't even play.
We both agree he didn't want to. We both agree that Will Johnson didn't want to hurt his draft status. But let's be real. His draft status could have rose in that game. Would you agree?
Yes, dude. But he didn't want to get. He thought everything. He thought exactly what everybody else thought. We're gonna get fucking smushed, and I ain't gonna worry about it, dude. And that's not what happened. It's just when you take all that in consideration, the fact that Sharon Moore, this is his first full season as a head coach ever, like, and you lose to him. You lose to you're favored by 21 points, dude. The quarterback they threw for like 70 yards. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? This team lost Indiana. This team struggled. The only team they dominated was Northwestern, dude. Like, they're done. They're done. They're gonna play in like the fucking Gator Bowl, bro. And you lost to them again 4 years in a row. And then it's also how they lost. We're not talking about a freak thing here. People are going to point at the Will Howard interception or the muff kick or the missed field goals. Fuck that, dude. What are you talking about? You can't, if it's the same shit every year, it's the same shit. Oh, Will Howard threw a bunch of interceptions. Okay, well, you blame the last fucking quarterback. The quarterback that you didn't like that threw for 400 fucking yards last night against Miami, the number 4 ranked team in the country. You didn't like that guy either, right? Okay, well, we knew that the kickers sucked. You blamed the kickers when they lost to Georgia. We knew they sucked. He fired the new special teams coordinator. They had the best. They had the Lou Groza award winner playing in Oxford, Ohio, Miami, Ohio. The Lou Groza award winner is playing in a fucking mag school 2 hours down the road. Did they try to get him? Maybe they did, but they didn't make it enough of a priority if they did try.
Let me hit these comments. We got Coach Stewart. Hey, Gabe Powers. He's entered the portal today. Yep. Hey, look, we're starting to see this exodus. We're starting seeing these quality players that we think are going to go to other schools and just be dominant. And everybody on this podcast, I think we all agreed Gabe Powers is going to have a great career wherever he may go. Would you agree?
Yeah, great. Gabe Powers is great. Former 4-star linebacker from your backyard in Marysville, Ohio, 6'4", probably 230, 240 pounds, runs like a gazelle. Every time he was on the field, he played great. Had that pick 6 against Akron. He only had 5 tackles on the season, but that doesn't really showcase what he did. I mean, I was on the sidelines with some NFL scouts that all were like, hey, that guy's really good. You know, why is he not playing more? Yada, yada, yada. He didn't really get a real opportunity. I understand. I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about the coaching staff and their situation and what's going on. I don't know what's happening, right? I know that Cody Simon. Well, I know that Cody Simon is, he's been at Ohio State for quite some time. So I'm assuming that his knowledge of the playbook was never going to take him out. CJ Hicks started the season at the other linebacker spot, was terrible. And then they kind of had Sonny Styles slide on in there, who has improved throughout the year, but he was a liability in most cases. And then Arvo Reese they kind of slid him in underneath Jay Powers' nose as well. Didn't really give him much of a shot, dude. No. So yeah, if I'm Gabe, I'm really upset. He gave it 2 years, dude. He stuck around for 2 years and they didn't give him not a sniff. So, and this was not, the linebacker was not exactly their strength, and they weren't showing any signs that they were going to let him play next year. So I don't blame him. I assume he goes on and plays for another Power 5 school and has a very successful career. And when we lose to Michigan next year with Ryan Day, we go, man, Gabe Powers might have helped there.
Yeah. We've got Matthew. Hey, we got to get rid of Ryan Day. Born on third. There's that quote again. Born on third and can't even get to the team up north. Bring back Urban.
That's my boy, Matt. Southpaw alum. Woo.
And need Chip Kelly to take over Purdue too. Hey, there's going to be an opening. There's going to be an opening.
I want to call it right now, since we're on the coaching topic. I know that I told you Rich Rod to give the show. People are going to laugh at that, right? Okay. Rich Rod, a big school is going to hire Rich Rod. It might be Purdue. Yeah. And they're going to be so fucking grateful, dude. That guy transformed Jacksonville State. Didn't have the same amount of scholarships. They're winning the Conference USA. They won at their last conference. That guy, he was winning at Michigan, and they didn't like him because he curses. He's not a Michigan man, and he kind of got screwed out of there. He had a rough go at Arizona, so I can't sit here and act like he transformed Arizona, but he did have a 10-win season there. Somebody's going to get Rich Rod, the new rejuvenated Rich Rod, and he's going to do damage wherever he goes. I would rather have Rich Rod than Ryan Day, because you know who hates Michigan? Rich Rod. That's who. I'm just throwing it out there now. So I'm not. I would seriously.
I'm not going to argue that one bit. Hey, and Coach Stewart said, "Hey, you better check yourself. Gabe was a former 5-star, good sir."
I apologize. But yeah, the kicker thing, he also said Ohio State doesn't use scholarships on kickers. Maybe they should. Of course, maybe Ryan Day doesn't want to do that because he loves using that as an excuse. They love using that as, well, we didn't have a kicker. We missed by kick, if you make a field goal. It's like, dude.
Everyone needs a crush. Josh, no comment. Just know we're here for you.
Thank you, Gert. Thank you.
Let's talk this game. Let's talk it by positions or position groups. Let's go ahead and give a grade, and then let's just let it out. I feel like you let it a lot out, but I feel like you've got another 40 minutes of it. But let's go down position groups here.
All right. I don't want to. Some position groups just played. All right. Let's start. Quarterback Will Howard. Will Howard did not have his best game. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and act like he lost them the game. It was a terrible game plan. It was a terrible game plan. Okay, the offensive game plan. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Michigan's got 2 guys, right? Because Will Johnson's gone. They got 2 guys on that defense that are going to get drafted high. Okay. And it's Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. 2 guys. That's it. They both play in the same. You know what the beautiful part about that is? They play the same goddamn position right there in the middle of the defensive line. Do you know what Ohio State's game plan was? To run it at the fucking middle of the offensive line. What are you doing? What are you doing with your injured offensive line? They've been hurt all year long. They haven't been blocking well. They've had 4 games where they've blocked well. And all of a sudden, your game plan is to go at the 2 first-round defensive tackles?
A little bit of Valpo reunion, huh? No, you're absolutely right. When you look at it on paper, Michigan's 2 strengths were right there at the center of the defensive line, and we ran 1, 2 hole, 3 hole, 4 all day long.
So Will Howard gets all this hate because he threw those interceptions, and they were bad interceptions. Again, Will Howard didn't play a good game. I feel like the focus, we can't keep blaming the quarterback. Right? And the kid's going out there. I don't know. He probably had a concussion because he got the shit knocked out of him. When he threw the first interception, a conversation should have happened. One of the reasons that he got Will Howard, and I hate this for Will Howard. I hate this for Will because I think he's a great quarterback. The reason they went to go get Will Howard was because he was a smart, sensible player who makes great decisions and he's good in the clutch. Right? That's why they didn't want Cam Ward wanted to come to Ohio State. Cam Ward wanted to come to Ohio State, and Ryan Day said no. You're too much of a wild card. And I agreed with that at the time. That's fine. But so that's the case. We can't be mad when Will Howard throws 2 interceptions, right? Ryan Day's job to put him in check. That's why he picked him, right? The offense had no game plan. I don't blame Will Howard. The only position group that I do blame is the offensive line. But even that's hard to blame if you say, hey man, hey guys, I know that you're beaten up. We got two sophomores starting on the interior that didn't start at the beginning of the year. Okay. You're going to be blocking 2 first-rounders at defensive tackle. Okay. If they don't play well, is that really their fault? Because they weren't really expected to, right? It sucks that the offensive line isn't better, right? I think that Justin Fry probably needs to be canned too. Because the offensive line never seems to step up. They never create holes. These are 2 All-American running backs, and they have to break tackles behind the line of scrimmage constantly. So I'm not defending the offensive line, but what I am saying is that this is not – no one should watch that game and be like, oh, my God, I can't believe how bad the offensive line was. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? The game plan didn't help at all. Not at all.
No, and I'll caveat on your game plan as well. We're talking about Will Howard. You look at that first interception by Will Howard. Look at that play call. And what high school coach, even what pee-wee football coach would say, hey, you know what? We're going to run a 5-yard hitch to the wide side of the field and have you make that throw. That was baffling to me. Baffling. I don't know. I couldn't.
I don't know.
You're absolutely right. You got two guys right in the middle of the defensive line that are going to be playing on Sundays, and we just ran out of them.
The only 2 guys that are going to be playing on Sunday. I mean, the defense was bad this year. Michigan's defense was bad this year. It's the only 2 guys. That's the frustrating part. You know what I mean?
No,
it wasn't a pick your poison situation. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, wholeheartedly. And you said it earlier. We get a break. We get an utter break. Hey, this possible Big Ten best tight end in the Big Ten. He's not playing. Hey, the first corner that's going to come off the board is not playing. And it was just a game plan it was a coaching game plan that just was an absolute and utter disservice to the players. And we're seeing Gabe Powers go. I mean, mind you, there's other lingering issues there, but who's to say there's not an exodus after this unless we see changes to the staff?
I don't get any, and this is a defense. On the last podcast, I said the defensive backfield in Michigan was a strong suit, but this is still what we saw was pathetic. I mean, Stuart pointed out in the chat, Jeremiah Smith 2 catches, 3 yards. Some of those guys were open. And we didn't see them. We didn't throw it to them. The play wasn't designed there. I mean, these guys we would do it once, it would be missed, and we wouldn't go back to it. I don't know what was going on. But this wasn't the best defensive backfield in the world. That the cornerback Amir Hall or whatever his name was, he was benched 2 weeks ago for not playing very well, dude. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I'm not gonna sit here and act like the wide receivers all played like All-Americans either. Carnell Tate had a really ugly drop in the second half on 3rd down that basically ended the game. But that was it. There were so many. He got so few moments. The passing game got so few moments. It just didn't. I mean, to end the first half, I still thought Ohio State was going to win at the end of the first half because they marched right down. It was almost like they were like, okay, let's do what we do best, guys. At the end of the first half, they drove down
and then flip the ball.
Yeah, and they weren't stopped. They weren't even slowed down. They did exactly what they wanted to do. And then they just didn't do it anymore. They just didn't do it anymore. I don't know if Ryan Day has something up his ass that he has to prove that his teams are tough. There's no shame in playing like a pussy as long as you win, right? You can play like a puss and win, but you got to win. You know what I mean? I would rather play like a puss and win than try to act tough and get knocked the fuck out. And that's what keeps happening. I mean, do you agree with me? Like, doesn't it feel like
it's wholehearted? I don't care if it's a schmooze play or it's that one cheap play that on NCAA football that the defense just can't adjust to. If it works and get into the end zone. And I'm that guy that, hey, I'd rather lose by 100 than lose by 1. You know what I mean? And this one, like you said, this one hurts more than any of them. It hurts more than any of them. Coach Stewart, hey, bigger the game, the more conservative Day is. Never plays to win the big games. Ohio State did the same thing during Penn State. Luckily, we didn't lose. Luckily, we didn't lose because Penn State absolutely got boneheaded in the red zone. Let's be real. They were absolutely boneheaded in the red zone.
James Franklin is one of the only coaches at a big-time program that's worse than Ryan Day. That's why he beats them. That's why that's the only reason he beats him. I fully agree with Stewart too. A lot of people are blaming Chip Kelly, like Chip Kelly was the issue. And maybe, but I don't think so. This to me looked like a patented trademarked Ryan Day game plan, right? We haven't seen Chip Kelly call this offense like this all year long. We've seen Ryan Day do this shit. We've seen Ryan Day get the tight butthole and do stupid shit. The punt. It was like 4th and 2 and on their 40 and they punted.
4th and 1.
He's been going for that all year long. He's been going for that all year long. All year long. And all of a sudden you want to stop now? Just the decision making was so fucking confusing. And I guess that's my 2 cents on the offense. I mean, do you have anything to add before we go in on the defense?
No, like I said, we can't sit here and say that Will Howard had a great game. Let's see. Again, that first interception, that's just boneheaded play calling, without question. Ohio State running for 77 yards and not a single back having more than 4 yards a carry. And let's be real, I'm doing my scroll now, and I'm already all the way back in 2022, 21. Oh, I'm going to keep going. 19 maybe? No, even later. What was the year that Ohio State got blanked by Clemson?
That was the 19th season because it was the year before.
2019 season.
I believe so because I think it was the year before. No, it was 2 years before they took over.
The last time they failed to score so few points, we're talking Ryan Day and we're talking the Missouri game. 10 points.
Yeah.
You have an Ohio State offense, regardless of who's out there, you can muster 10 points. It's unacceptable. Without question, it's unacceptable.
I don't know what the thought I don't know what their game plan was. Even the first drive, they moved the ball pretty much at will, and then they stopped. They had to kick a field goal. Okay, fine. That's gonna happen, right? Michigan is not the worst team in college football. You're not going to score on every drive, but they moved the ball pretty well in that first drive. But that was it. They had 2 drives. It was like, what's going on, dude? And then let's move on to the defense. I'm hearing some people were like, well, the defense played well. At least the defense played well. Well, the defense looked good. No, they didn't. Michigan's offense blows. It's like the last offense in the Big Ten, right? If a team averages 13 points a game, and then they score 13 points against you, that's to me is not a great game, right? Dude, I was on the sidelines when the quarterbacks were warming up, and they were Michigan quarterbacks were lining up 10, 15 yards away from their trainer, whoever they were throwing, the ball boy, and they were throwing the quarterback couldn't hit him in the chest. Like when Ohio State goes down there, and like even Purdue, let's talk about Purdue. Purdue, when those quarterbacks, two of the 3 dudes were slinging it at the guy's chest every time. They were throwing it where they wanted to throw it. The Michigan quarterbacks couldn't do it, dude. The Michigan quarterbacks in warmups were bad. They would do the pass routes on air, And there was more balls. I shit you not, dude. You can ask another writer. Nick Toombs was there with me. More balls were hitting the fucking ground than the receivers. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a bloodbath, dude. They can't complete a pass. So that's the kind of offense they are dealing with, right? And you couldn't get a fucking pass rush. You got 0 sacks. You got 0 sacks the whole game. When it mattered, they drove right the fuck down the field. What was it, like 3rd and 4, and like 8 guys missed a goddamn tackle? For that guy to rip off a 70-yard pass. You know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe in the grand scheme of things, the defense didn't lose them the game, and I didn't say that. But the defense didn't step up, and they never step up. They never step up. And remember, we were told these are 4 first-round defensive linemen that we have here, that we kept with NIL cash, that are going to be drafted in the 1st round, right?
Oh, and a corner in the secondary.
Not one fucking sack. What the fuck, dude? It was bad. It was bad. Everything was bad.
And to elaborate on your point, Coach Stewart say scared big games, or Meyer's a lunatic, but he plays to win the game. Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't have that fight. He doesn't have that want. You're talking about the quarterbacks, the cancer kid, Davis Warren. I hate calling him cancer kid, but hey, he had 62 yards in the air and he threw 2 picks, and they won the ball game.
Yeah.
You had Khalil Mullings. He ended up with 116 yards, but he was averaging 3.6 yards a carry. That's what Michigan wants. They don't want anything else. Yep. You know that's what they want. Simple as that.
I do. We heard all week long that the person who controls the ground, the team that controls the trenches, is going to win the game. In Ohio State, that wasn't how they were going to win the game. That just wasn't. I don't know why they thought that they could do that. It was bad. It was bad. I'm disappointed. The defense didn't lose in the game, but I'm still disappointed in how they played. They did exactly what Michigan wanted them to do, and they shined when they needed to shine. And Ohio State couldn't stop them, dude.
No,
when it counted most.
You're absolutely right. And we sit there and I these Ohio State scarlet covered glasses I was wearing. I see one play call that comes out of the norm. You see Jack Sawyer drop into coverage, having what looked like a season-saving interception, only to miss a tackle in the backfield the very next drive. Not even the very next drive. I apologize. A minute and a half later off the clock, misses a 3rd and 4 tackle in the backfield.
Which is cool. That the interception, okay, fine. I went back and watched it today. But why are you running that play? It worked, but why are you running that play?
On the goal line there, yeah.
They suck, dude. Why do you rush the motherfucker? You didn't blitz anybody. What are you doing? We're not getting pressure with 3 guys. I don't understand. It worked in that instance, but I don't know why that kind of play call just confuses me.
Well, I mean, let's be real too. What's even more pathetic at the same time is if you go back and watch that play, that tight end coming across the end zone there, he was open.
I don't.
He was wide open.
There was a couple plays where they dropped JTT too, and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? We have so many guys in cover. That's not an issue. That's not an issue. Like, we weren't getting beat. Ohio State wasn't getting beat deep. I don't understand it, dude. Some of the play, and like I said, that play worked, right? He picked it off. I get that. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still am confused by why? Why did you do that, dude?
Well,
I'm very simple, straight up.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to say I'm confused. I'm saying I'm concerned that that's the Ryan Day, Jim Knowles. That's the trick up the sleeve. Hey, we've got this quarterback who we can confuse him, but that's the best we've got.
Yeah, man.
That's a problem.
They don't throw enough for that to fucking matter. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Coach Ryan Stewart, I felt like Michigan made a big effort to run on Sonny Styles, and it worked. Hey, I'm not here to argue that. It's valid. It's absolutely valid. I don't know. I don't know. The way the defense played is inexplainable to me. And again, they weren't bad. I understand that the defense is not why they lost. I want to be very clear. I don't understand why people aren't more upset about how they played. They're not talking about it. And it's like, they didn't play fucking great, guys. I know that the 2 scoring drives in the first half were combined on 6 yards of drives because the offense blew it that bad. But, again, when they need it, we saw it. We all saw the 3rd down
where like 7 guys missed tackles. And they do this all the time. The defense always collapses at the end of the game. That's coaching, bro. That's fucking coaching. You know what I mean? I don't get it.
I can't sit other than, all of the factors that played into that Cotton Bowl loss last year. All those factors aside, I can't think of a time where Ohio State gives someone 10 points and doesn't win a game. So how can we sit there and how can we sit there and slam this defense at the same time? I mean, it's a double-sided coin. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but
I know you
10 points.
The offense
you're picking
was the bigger issue for sure. It was the bigger issue for sure. I just want to make sure that people understand how bad this Michigan offense was, because
let's call an ace and a spade and a spade. As bad as this Michigan offense is, if you're sitting here to ask Ohio State fanatic Chris who had the better season, Michigan beat Michigan State and they beat Ohio State, and they're going bowling. What's to hate? What's to be upset about?
Well, I mean, did suck, but they did suck all year. I don't think Michigan. I was also surprised by the amount of Michigan fans that were screaming in joy. Because I was like, dude, your season still blows. Like, they're gonna end up at the fucking Gator Bowl or whatever, and they're probably gonna lose. I mean, it's not that. That's what makes the Ohio State loss even worse, because it's like, dude, Michigan was not good this year.
That makes the Ohio State loss. They're tough-nosed sons of bitches, but at the end of the day, they're walking away with a pair of gold pants, and we're not. And that's a win. That's a win when they start the season 1-3.
I don't understand if you. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun here, but I've heard some of the people talk about. Oh, hey, Jeremy's our boy Jeremy's got a comment here.
I got you.
They ran our linebackers all day, 172 yards rushing because our linebackers. Yeah, dude. Linebackers sucked. The defensive line. I thought the defensive line was the most egregious, because we heard all offseason long, both of these defensive ends were mocked in the first round, dude. And every week we have to sit here and act like, where's the pass rush? Where's it at? What's going on?
Well, I'd almost say
one tackle for loss. One tackle for loss, right?
Yeah, one. I would say the injury to insult is the fact I go on record and say 3 times that Joel Klatt brought up that, hey, this isn't the Michigan offensive line of last year,
No.
And it wasn't. But my God, Khalil Mullings, 3.6 yards a carry, 116 yards on the ground, 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Dude,
win the ball game. And you didn't even have to bother with Donovan Edwards, who shined in second halves of these games in years prior.
Dude,
say what you will about the campaign he has had this year, but if you look historically, the last 2 years, look at Donovan Edwards in the fourth quarter against Ohio State. You didn't even have to deal with it.
Dude, if you can't win this game with everything stacked in your favor, you're never going to win it. It's over. There's something mentally going on. He can't get over the hump. And this is a big game. This is an important game. This is the game that's kept him from Indianapolis since 2020. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Penn State's going to the Big Ten championship, dude. Yeah. Ohio State's going to be very lucky to host a playoff game in the first round. They might not. If Penn State hangs with Oregon.
If Penn State hangs with them, you see them go to 9. That's just a prediction here. They go and they don't host, without question.
Yeah.
Why before I get us on a different train, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about special teams. If we didn't talk about special teams.
It's a constant issue. It's a constant issue. When it's just like we talk about the quarterback. There's one constant. The players change. The coaching staff has changed. One guy stays the same, Ryan Day. We knew this. The Lou Groza Award winner was kicking field goals at a pace to win he won the Lou Groza Award, dude, from Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
You let him leave the state. He's at Alabama now. What are you doing? If you knew Jaden Fielding sucked, which we all did, we had opportunities to rectify this issue, and he did not do that.
Well,
When they
do
fired the special teams coordinator, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because a lot of teams don't have special teams coordinators, and he was a bad special teams coordinator, right?
agreed. No,
The special
wholeheartedly.
teams still sucked, and we talked about the last 2 weeks, and I was wrong against Indiana because they played great against Northwestern, and I told Donovan on the show, I said, okay, we need to be careful about if we talk about the Ohio State special teams being good because Purdue special teams is the worst in the country, and they fired their coach.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the worst in the country. And then they shined against Northwestern. I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong because Northwestern's a pretty well-coached team. No, dude, they dropped that fucking kick return when they came out from the second half, and they missed a shit ton of field goals. Dude, they suck again. Again, they suck. And he had an opportunity, dude. That kicker, not enough people are talking about that fucking kicker that went to Miami, Ohio. And we didn't try. Then Ohio State didn't try to. They didn't make enough of an attempt to get him here. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Well,
That
I mean,
problem
let's talk. Jaden Fielding. Hey, you're getting for special teams as a whole. You get that. You get this F grade. But let's even worse. Let's talk.
He was kicking footballs out of bounds at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. But we're talking a 38-yard miss. Then we're talking a 34-yard miss. Let's talk about. What's Joe McGuire, the 31-yard punt in the second quarter? What is that?
Dude, I don't know.
Travion Henderson starts the third quarter. He mishandles that kickoff. You've got Caleb Downs who misses that punt and it gets pinned inside the 10-yard line in the second quarter. Special teams as a whole. Yeah, some of them are not as glaring as the others. They're not as glaring as two 30-yard fucking chip shots. That one goes right and the other one gets hooked left. But special teams as a whole, terrible.
No, dude, I'm with you. It's the same issue. That's why that's another reason why I'm so upset about the loss is because it's the same issues over and over again. Every time he loses, it's like this. Now, Oregon, we all sat here and we're like, I've been wanting to fire Ryan Day since last year and they lost to Michigan. Okay. But even when they lost to Oregon, who's the biggest Ryan Day hater on the show, even said, okay, well, hey, shit happens, but I put an asterisk on there and said, listen, they lost the game the same way they lose every other fucking game, though. So you really got to monitor this. And it came true today, and I don't know why and it got me too. Every year I put so much stock into the Penn State game. I'm like, because Penn State's good. Penn State's really, really talented. Penn State's a great team. But James Franklin is the only coach at the top 25 programs that's worse than Ryan Day. And for some reason, I forget that every year.
No, you're absolutely right. Coach Stewart, I think Penn State beats Oregon. Ooh, hey, hot take, but I like it. I heard that Nugent was last scholarship kicker. Wow. All the way back. And when did Nugent graduate? 05 or 06?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I do have his mini helmet right here.
Ooh. Black Friday deal. Okay.
Greg Wood got a shout out though. Greg Wood, old Valpo punter, is about 100 times more qualified. Big shout out to Mr. Wood there, who's also a Michigan fan. Yeah, man. I you know what? It's funny. I don't know if I picked Penn State to win, but the spread's 3.5 on that Big Ten championship game, and I would probably lean Penn State. I just think they're a physical, good team.
We're going to get there in a minute. We've graded out the offense. We've graded out the defense. We've graded out the special teams. One final component is let's go ahead and grade out the coaching staff.
An F. The offense sucks. The defense wasn't. The only reason the defense looks better is because the Michigan offense is anemic. Think about their offense. Their best receiver was out in Colson Loveland. Their quarterback is recovering from cancer. Their running back was on the cover of College Football 25, but we didn't even fucking play. You know what I mean? Like their offensive line, all of those guys are gone. The offense is bad. They ranked last the Big Ten heading into this game. So let's chill out when we talk about the defense not being the issue because Khalil Mullins broke like 8 tackles when he fucking needed to. The special teams is bad. Everything is bad, and it's always bad when they play these good teams. I don't know why people it's so weird to me that Ohio State fans are messaging me talking about the playoffs like he's got a fucking shot to win against a good team. He doesn't, guys. He fucking doesn't. Jesus Christ.
My sweet Melissa, you know that we've been calling for his head for quite some time here on the Ohio State of Mind podcast.
Last year.
But
The day after he lost to
year,
Michigan last year.
the day after he lost to Michigan, without question, they should always hired by Mike Pantoni. Oh, okay. Would you throw Hartline in there?
I'm
keeping Brian Hartline.
Fuck, bro. If you don't want to stay, you don't have to stay. Yeah, I would try to make it a template.
I would make an attempt to keep Brian Hartline. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to see Brian Hartline call plays. It couldn't be any worse than what we saw Saturday.
We can't go
back. It couldn't be any worse.
It could be any worse than Saturday. That's true. But I think that was a Ryan Day special.
We can't argue that. But when you're a coaching staff that has arguably one of the most talented rosters that we've seen at this university,
arguably,
you become
the whole offseason we've been hearing about how it's the best roster ever. The whole offseason we heard about the most expensive roster in college football history.
Well, I will say when it comes to most expensive, yes, we've been hearing it because it's almost coming out every 20 minutes out of the mouthpiece of Pat McAfee. Don't get me wrong. But when you have this offense that's the most talented, and now you call literally the most one-dimensional game I've ever seen out of this university. It's baffling. And it's almost like, did you lose a bet with somebody that you could just run a straight dive every first and second down?
I don't know, man. It's so, and I get upset with people being like, well, what do you do? You can't, who are you going to get if you fire Ryan Day? I don't know, someone who fucking wins. You know what I mean? You pay, he's the fourth highest paid coach in college football. You know what I mean? Just because you can't name anybody else's, dude, I'm fucking telling you, hot take of the day. Rich Rodriguez is a better coach than Ryan fucking Day. I'm fucking telling you, dude. I'm fucking telling you, man. The dude, you gave him a Ferrari and he's going 20 miles per hour. Like, it's not that fucking hard. The worst, you and I could coach against fucking Charlotte and Western Michigan, bro. You guys we did the rankings at the beginning of the year. Half these dudes were on preseason All-American teams. You know what I mean? It doesn't take a fucking genius to win those games against the MAC. He gets way too much credit for doing that, right? Luke Fickell was thrown to the wolves in this job and won 8 games. You know what I mean? Like, you can do that shit. It's not, there's, you talk about G.G. Kenny. Fuck, Ryan Stewart talked about Eddie George 4 months ago. We all kind of laughed about it. Ha, 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 Eddie George. Eddie George won 8 games at Tennessee State, a team that hasn't won a winning record in like 20 years. I would take Eddie George over Ryan Day. You know what I mean? Like, fuck Jimbo Fisher. Fuck Jimbo. I mean,
pull Jimbo off of Sirius XM. He'll come coach. You want to pay him. You want to pay him when he's getting paid at A&M either.
I mean, fuck, dude. He can't deny his resume at Florida State, and that was the program that he built. I mean, Dan Mullen, what he did at Mississippi State. There's guys that I would rather give a chance to, and those are guys that are all older that I'm kind of being sarcastic about. But Kotolinki from the offensive coordinator at Penn State. That's a young up-and-coming coach who did a shit ton at Kansas. He left Kansas. Kansas fucking completely fell apart. They're not even going to a bowl game this year. Goes to Penn State, very first year, goes to Big Ten championship. That guy's ready to be a head coach somewhere.
Well, let's be real. Your first two. You're talking guys that aren't even in the seat anymore. You're talking about guys that are talking about the game at halftime.
I know.
You're talking about Dan Mullen.
And I would take them over Ryan Day, bro. I'm fucking telling you, dude. Tim Albin at Ohio. Look at Ohio University. All those guys fucking left. The quarterback transferred to IU. The running back fucking all those guys fucking left, and he's going to the MAC championship. They had one returning starter on offense and one returning starter on defense, Chris, and they're going to the MAC fucking championship. Yeah, dude, that's fucking impressive. Ryan Day could never do that.
I hear Matt Eberflus is available. Go get Vrabel.
I would rather have Eberflus than Ryan Day.
Go get Vrabel. Hey, Vrabel's. I don't know if Vrabel wants it, but hey, I mean, you always.
I would take Vrabel. I don't think I would take Vrabel.
Pantoni hates Mullen. I do. I hate seeing him on the Thursday night halftime games.
I mean, he's not my first choice, obviously, but I'm throwing out names of guys that these guys were all fired and they have better resumes and better careers than Ryan Day. Without a question, they all took something and built something. Ryan Day got handed like the third base thing. That's true, man. Mm-hmm. That's true, dude. Like he was born on third base, bro. He ain't ready for it, dude. Get him the fuck out of there, bro.
Well, like I said, we've seen that there is just an absolute mental block. It's something that he has been given 5 chances now to get over, and let's not count the one that he didn't have to be a part of because of COVID. It's a mental block that he can't get over, and I'm all for it. You know how Ohio State fans are. Hey, bring in an Ohio man. I mean, just bring in someone who's got an semblance of football IQ, who wants to win more than he doesn't want to lose.
There are options out there. People that say that there are no options out there, they're not paying attention. John Summerall at Tulane, right? He won a shit ton of Troy, and he's winning a shit ton at Tulane. He took over for Willie Fritz. He didn't build Tulane. Willie Fritz built Tulane, but he built Troy. Troy sucked. He took over, won a lot of games, and continuing what he's doing at Troy. You know what I mean? That I don't know if I would hire him, but I'm saying that guy's a better coach than Ryan Day. Flat out, that.
No, without question.
There's just guys out there.
Like I said,
I've been a big Dillingham from Arizona State.
Yeah,
he's been there for like 2 fucking years, and they're already going to the Big 12 championship. That's a team that was predicted to lose like every game.
And look at them. They're playing they're playing tomorrow or playing next week, and we're not.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying I would hire him. I'm just saying that those guys are better coaches than Ryan Day.
No, they can win with what they've got, and they've proven it. Mm-hmm. They can win with what they've got. They can coach, mentor, and mold.
Yeah,
these players and the play calling and the schemes and the situation to come out as victors.
There's just this echo chamber of people that don't understand what's out there, and they they think that Ryan Day it's not going to get any better, and that's not true. And there's also people that think that if Ryan Day leaves, you're going to have this mass exodus to the transfer portal. No, first of all, you're not, because these kids want to play at Ohio State. Most of these kids here are guys that like Gabe Powers, who just want to fucking play football for Ohio State, no matter who the coach is. Right.
I just want to put that scarlet and gray on. Absolutely.
Second of all, it's the day and age of the transfer portal. Look what Signetti did. You think Signetti gave a shit about what was there? No, because he brought in his own guys. You know what I mean? So it don't fucking matter. What's the worst thing that happens? Who's your best player? You lose Jeremiah Smith to the transfer portal. Okay, well, we lost to fucking Michigan, for the 4th time in a row, and he had 3 fucking catches for like 2 catches for like 3 yards, right? Whoever comes in is going to bring in his guys. That's part of the fucking job.
I've heard that stat. I've seen he's had 5 for 35 and a tud, but again, he's not getting the ball. He's running it up the gut. Coach at Ironton High School. Hey, Ironton's still in the playoffs. Sorry.
And regardless too, I mean, it's not like that guy. Remember, it's going to be really hard to transfer out of a place like Ohio State too, given the amount of NIL money that's dedicated to these guys. Jeremiah Smith is making a healthy amount of fucking cash. James Peoples, who doesn't ever see the field, is still making a healthy chunk of cash. So it's going to be really hard for these guys to just up and leave just because of a coaching change, right?
No, I agree.
You're right.
And
that touchdown, I forgot.
He 5 for 35 in the tud. But hey, at the end of the day, he loses again. And like you have echoed week after week, he lost to somebody, this time not with similar talent. He just got out-coached. He got out-coached for a 2nd year in a row by Sharon Moore. And he didn't have some overnight celebrity like Tishmanga Biakabatuka in 95. You knew what this team was.
Yeah.
And
they did exactly what you thought they were going to do.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly. Roy, what we got? How long before NIL start demanding kids to stay at their school? Well, as soon as they start drafting up the actual paperwork and having an office dedicated to it, I think it's coming here in the next year. To where these contracts and these promises can be black and white and filed away. I see it in the next year. I see it within the next year now. Without question. We saw the quarterback for quarterback that sat out. It was promised 20 G's. Who was it?
The kid from UNLV.
Kid from the Running Rebels. Absolutely. Yeah. Give it a year. This time next year, we'll be talking about it.
We'll be talking about it. I don't know if it's going to happen. They like to play this game. Now we're in this weird purgatory where it's like, oh, well, these are students. These are student athletes. but we're also
Mm-hmm.
paying them. Well, they deserve name, image, and likeness because you're using their information, but they're still student athletes. You can't make them do anything. And it's like, they like to really play that game.
Naturally.
So I don't know. I don't know. In college is more complex than that too, right? Like,
well, you're gonna have the other side of it. Like, oh, we're here to protect these kids and these promises given to these kids because they're kids and we have to protect them. There's your other side of it.
Exactly. That's what I think. That's where you're kind of, because these kids are getting offered a lot of money in high school and they're not getting it, or they're not. You know what I mean? Like things aren't the way they said it was. The Michigan thing is now we're talking about Michigan. Bryce Underwood going there. That's a good example. I don't see that kid, even if that kid signs a 4-year contract. Let's say that would be legal. He signs a 4-year contract or whatever. Mm-hmm. How do you enforce that? That kid just bumps in the transfer portal and you pay his money back or whatever. Like I don't know. I feel like that's just going to open up a can of worms. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon.
That's the climate and then the world in which we live in. And it's just takes one press of send on Instagram, and that's all there is to it, or X.
Yeah, because remember too, they were supposed to, with the transfer portal too, there were supposed to be rules with that as well. Like you can't transfer this many times unless you have a hardship waiver, yada yada yada. I mean that was starting even before the portal. Because remember, Justin Fields, he transferred and didn't have to skip a year because he said some things happened on the baseball field that wasn't really ever proven or anything, which whatever. I'm not going to call him a liar, but like that happens a lot. I don't think Tate Martell sat out a year because he had some kind of third cousin that was sick or something in Miami. Like that shit happens a lot, right? I'm not saying the kids are lying, but you're seeing that a lot. So there's always these rules set in place to protect these players, and that's fine. That's great. Whatever. They are kids. I don't think that there should be contracts like that, because they are just kids, and a lot of them are making decisions for the wrong reasons, and you don't want them to be unhappy for 4 years. So I think that's going to be the big thorn in demanding that the kids stay. But I could be wrong. Every day that goes by, it gets commercialized.
I will say that we got one more in here. Coach Stewart. Can't get into details, obviously, but big money on the table already in regards to Gabe Powers. No surprise here, boss.
I believe it.
No surprise here.
I believe
no shocker here.
You're talking about a former 5-star linebacker. That's big, fast, and strong. And every time he was on the field,
bud.
Every time he was on the field, I think PFF gave him a super high grade every time. So,
well, at the end of the day, we are in a state of loathing. But there is football. But the Buckeyes will not be a part of it this weekend. But there is football this weekend. And we're going to talk about some bowls. We're going to talk about some bowl games.
Well, Mike has a pretty pertinent question here that we should probably address first.
Absolutely.
Does Greg Oden have any eligibility left? No. But I tell you
Does
what.
he have cartilage in his knees left?
I have seen Greg Oden at the Canes near the stadium no less than 10 times.
Hell yeah, baby. Got to get that cane sauce.
Dude loves some Canes. Very pleasant
sauce. As we were talking about Rich Rod is playing in the conference championship this week. He's got the Jacksonville State playing against Western Kentucky. That is Friday, 4 p.m. on CBSSN. I'm sure I think I've got that. Shit.
CBS Sports Network,
I've got that. Okay, yeah, I've got that. What we got on that one, boss?
I didn't know. Here, I just pulled up the spreads. Okay. Jacksonville State is favored by 4.5 points. What are you thinking?
Jacksonville State gets to play the conference championship in their home stadium. Rich Rod covers.
I'm going to take Western Kentucky. Jacksonville State. You and I talked about Jacksonville State early in the year. This is not the most talented roster in the world. No. They've kind of gone back and forth on quarterbacks. I think they've obviously figured their shit out. But Rich Rod, this is a purely coaching situation. I think Rich Rod has taken them as far as they can go. Western Kentucky's got some talent, dude. We've seen them play live a couple times.
When does Western Kentucky not have an offense that slings the ball? Let's be real.
Yeah. No, they got some real talent there. So I'm definitely going to ride with Western Kentucky.
Okay. 1 hour later start time, we've got UNLV, the Running Rebels, coming into Boise, who are trying to punch their ticket to the college football playoffs. Josh, who you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to ride, let's. God damn it, the spreads keep bouncing me out. Let's see here. Okay, Boise State is favored by 4 points. over UNLV. Now, this game is played in Vegas. That should be noted, right? Yes.
Is it?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so. I believe it's
Okay.
Vegas. What are you thinking for the game?
Boise State's come too far to stumble now. Give me Boise.
I'm with you. I bet on Boise State. They played Oregon State this past week. And the problem with Boise State is it feels like they're limping to the finish line every week that goes by. Genty looks a little bit slower, looks a little bit more beat up. But and this game was really close last time when Genty was much more healthy and Boise State was much more at the top of their game. But I think this is a situation where, and again, I'm probably biased towards Boise State because I keep betting on them and I keep losing. But Boise State, it really feels like they're so close to making the playoffs, so close to the finish line that they're going to find it within themselves to really finish it off. So I'm going to take Boise State dropping the 4 points.
And also this game will be played in Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho, my friend.
Oh, I'm so wrong. I'm sorry.
And Coach Stewart said, hey, Genty's going for 250. He's going for 250 on Friday. If it has to win, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
All right, next we got Cam Scatabo and those Arizona State. Are they at home? That's a home playoff. That's a home conference championship game?
I believe so, yeah.
Did they not play at a neutral stadium?
No, it's at the Cotton Bowl, right?
That's what I was thinking. I think it's the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, man,
I would assume that's the Cotton Bowl.
Definitely, AT&T Stadium. Yep, it's in Dallas then. Duh.
It's in Arlington.
Right.
Yeah, AT&T Stadium in Jerry World.
Definitely should have done more prep on this. Sorry, guys, we're Big Ten podcast. All right, Arizona State's favored by 2 points. We talked about Dillingham, the great job he's done at Arizona State. Cam Scatabo, super fun running back, was transferred from Sacramento State. Quarterback Sam Levitt, who used to be the quarterback at Michigan State. Kind of just a raggedy bunch. Iowa State's good. We keep talking about the head coach. I can't remember his name now. Is it Matt Campbell? Is that his name?
Yes, Matt Campbell.
Yeah, Matt Campbell. He kind of every time Ohio State has a job opening, he kind of pops open for it. Ever since he's been at Iowa State, he does a great job, dude. Iowa State's always tough.
Wins.
Iowa State's always good. Never any stars. I had Iowa State going to the playoffs at the beginning of the year. I wish I would have put money on them to win the Big 12. I did not. But yeah, I got Iowa State getting the 2 points.
Yeah, I'm going to go Iowa State too. Let's be real. Iowa State is just that constant. Even early season, you see Iowa State go and win some game they shouldn't probably win. You're sitting there midway through the season. Well, hey, there's 7. There's 8 wins for Iowa State. They're at 10 now. And as much as I love Arizona State, I'll enjoy watching Scatabo. Every commentator does it different every week. As much as I like to see him run, and I think he's the 6th leading rush. Yeah, he's an exciting white. I think he's up to 6th or 5th in the nation rushing, but give me Iowa State in this one. Give me Iowa State.
Yeah, man. Rob go back to the Iowa State quarterback. I think is he related to Anthony Beck, the old Jets receiver and current St. Louis Battlehawks head coach?
You're in the ballpark.
He's a fun quarter. He's not related at all.
The spirit of Pat Tillman will guide the Sun Devils to victory. Not touching that one. All right. I'm with it.
Rocco Beck's a fun quarterback, so
yeah.
I think that's some juice there.
Wholeheartedly. Boom, boom, boom. We've got the Ohio Bobcats and the Miami Redhawks duking it out in Detroit for the MAC championship. What's the spread?
Miami is favored by 2.5.
Miami by 2.5.
I love Tim Albin. Tim Albin should be up for Coach of the Year along with Cignetti. He'll never get it.
Wouldn't argue.
But Ohio lost everything. Ohio lost everybody. Everybody left. We talked about Casberg left to Ohio State. Nathan Rourke left to Indiana. But Miami's talented, and they were talented last year. They're talented this year. They kind of go out there. They do their thing. They returned a lot of starters, a lot of key pieces. So I'm going to ride with Miami, Ohio.
Being from the Athens area myself, you're absolutely right. The losing everybody on that roster and still getting to the conference championship is a Herculean task. And like I said, you give Albion every rose that he deserves because he does in fact deserve it. But I'm going to go with the Redhawks, just like last year. Give me the Redhawks.
Yeah, we saw Brett Gabbert earlier this year play
Northwestern. Yep.
Yeah, they played them tough. Miami, they're just a good team. They're just a really, really high quality team. They would handle some Power 5 schools.
I agree. 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, which is surprising. I would have thought this would have been the ABC primetime game. Georgia and Texas. Georgia and Texas playing. Yeah, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock? No, we're not doing your West Coast.
This is all my time. This is all my time. You're right. You're right. 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock kickoff. I get so much done during the day. Shut up. I can sit and have my dinner and the games will be over. 4 o'clock kickoff. We've got the SEC championship. We've got Georgia coming off that wild 8 overtime game last week. Did you stay up for that whole thing? Did you watch all of it?
Oh, yeah, dude. I had money on Georgia, but I was praying to God Georgia Tech would pull it off.
Buddy. What a game. I had in-laws here that were catching a 1 a.m. flight, and they were going back to Alabama, and they stayed for every single overtime. They had to see it go through the end. But Georgia gets Texas. They get them in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. The spread is what, my friend?
Texas is favored by 2.5.
Texas is favored by 2.5. And Georgia won by how much in the first meeting?
Yeah, man, I don't understand.
Which was ugly, by the way.
Yeah,
Georgia was an ugly game.
Yeah, Georgia beat the shit out of them the first time around. It was in Texas. Now this is in Georgia. I mean, I know it's not a home game, but let's be real here. And Texas has been pretty beat up. Georgia hasn't looked impressive either. There's obviously issues. Carson Beck is just a tad overrated. But Texas hasn't looked good either. They haven't gotten any better. They kind of just slide through the season. If you actually look at their schedule, I'm not saying their schedule is bad, but I think they've only beaten. Man, I think they've beaten 2 SEC teams with the winning record within the conference, and they've only played like 4 quarterbacks that were actually the starters at the beginning of the year. They played a lot of injured. It's really weird. Everything just is kind of lined up for them. I'm going with Georgia. I think Georgia can finish them off again.
I'm going Georgia as well. Georgia won by 15 the first time, like you said, in Texas. I think Georgia without question has underperformed all year. I would put a lot of that on the quarterback play, but I also put equally as much on the wide receivers of that team as well.
Well, it's not the same Georgia defensive line either. We should say that as well.
No, wholeheartedly. But honestly, the most dominant win, if you look at that Texas schedule this year, is a 10-point win against A&M. I think that's their most dominant win. 10-point win by A&M.
I wouldn't argue against that. And A&M got hammered by Notre Dame. So
that, and I wouldn't. They whooped up on Michigan in the Big House, but I mean, we couldn't figure that out. But give me Georgia.
Yeah,
is Arch Manning starting? Arch Manning played last week, but he's not starting.
Well, he's their 2-quarterback system. He's their scrambling Randall Cunningham. Arch Manning is their Randall Cunningham. But that's where we're at.
Yeah. So give me Georgia. I think they've got a second lease on life after that absolute scare that was last week. But Georgia. Then you get them in Atlanta. Let's be real.
Right.
You got to think. You got to think about. We got to start thinking. And mind you, Mercedes. It's the only time you can get fucking Chick-fil-A in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Saturdays.
That's true.
But give me Georgia. We've got. What's that next one we got in here? Who's Marshall playing?
Louisiana Lafayette.
So
okay. Louisiana Lafayette is favored by 5.5 points over the Marshall Thundering Herd. I'm leaning Louisiana. Sam Huff was actually in the hot seat for Marshall for a good portion of the season. I don't know if he still is or not, but there was a lot of rumors of him getting fired. We saw Marshall play in person. Very up and down offense. Huh?
Yeah, we did, didn't we? And they're going and playing in the conference championship. Wild.
Yep. Yeah. But they had some interesting talent there, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And they had a defensive end that's probably going to be drafted very early. Louisiana Lafayette, I like their head coach, Michael Dessermore. I had some money on them to pound the shit out of Louisiana Monroe in a big rivalry, and he, unlike Ryan Day, actually coached well in their rivalry game. And a lot of people didn't think that they would because they already checked their ticket to the conference championship, and he still finished them off. Lafayette's just good. 5.5 points is a lot of points in a conference championship game, but like I said, Marshall's kind of in a weird influx situation. I think James Madison they beat somebody last week that kind of catapulted Marshall into the championship. So they kind of backdoored it.
Yeah, they did in fact backdoor it, and I think that backdooring is not going to be enough. So you're going to give me Louisiana Lafayette on this one as well.
Yeah, maybe it was Texas State that was supposed to be in it. I can't remember. But whatever.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you this. I pulled this graphic from ESPN, and they forgot to put one of the biggest ones on there. We've got the Clemson Tigers and the Ponies of SMU. Clemson Tigers and the Ponies. If I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking the SMU Ponies are a favorite in this one. Am I right?
Yeah, SMU's favored by 2.5.
Yeah, they're favored by 2.5. And, honestly, it seems like Clemson's had a second and a third lease on life here in these last couple weeks. And, if it wasn't for Kyle McCord and Coach Franz over there at Syracuse, they wouldn't have got in.
Yeah. I like SMU. I really wish I didn't, because I keep kind of going back to the well on them. I keep losing money on them. I've lost money on them ever since they got destroyed by BYU. But I do like what Rhett Lashler's doing down there. They had a 5-star quarterback in Preston Stone that was starting at the beginning of the year, who really, really looked rough. And he pulled the trigger despite all the NIL money and everything going to Stone, and benched him. So, and they've been kind of on a roll ever since with the more mobile quarterback. So I like SMU. Clemson, like you said, kind of slipped in the back door. I think Clemson's really talented. I think Dabo Swinney's he's done a great job this year. But I do think that SMU I don't know, something's written in the stars, dude.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with the support from the boosters. Let's be real. They made this all happen within 24 hours and raising all that money.
Are they one of the teams that got the Saudi Arabia money?
Can't confirm or deny.
We'll have to look into that. I can't remember.
Coach Stewart, Hot Garbage Bowl is the ACC championship. Coach Stewart, I'm not going to argue with that, but I think the winner of this game will have a more competitive game in the playoffs than the Buckeyes could. After what I saw last week.
Yeah, I probably would take Ohio State over both these teams. A, because I'm biased, and B, because I do think that Ohio State just has a pure level of talent difference between these two schools. But with that said, I wouldn't feel good about it. Like, both of these teams are pretty good.
No, wholeheartedly. But no, I do like the Ponies. I think they keep this dream of a season alive. I think they get in. I think they win. I think they get in. And what was the one loss they have is against BYU, and that was a field goal, Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was worse than that. Oh, that's right. Because SMU was favored by like 20 points, dude. So when they lost by field goal, everybody was like, "What's going on?"
Exactly. And mind you, they've had some nail biters. And as much as you love them, they had the 1-point nail biter in overtime against your boy Mario Cristobal and Duke.
No, Manny Diaz, dude.
Manny Diaz. You're absolutely right.
Also going to be in the run for Coach of the Year, or he should be at least.
Hey, so, you can't tell me he wouldn't win just as many games at Ohio State as Ryan Day would.
I don't know. He has very much of the same concept where his Manny Diaz very much, he kind of follows the whole. Do you remember Mac Brown at Texas when he had Vince Young?
Oh yeah,
shit got dicey. He was just like, Vince, do whatever you got to do. That's kind of how like Duke is with Malik Murphy. He's just like, all right, Malik, go out there, win it for us, baby. So I don't know how long this is going to last for them.
No, hardly. And of course, the one that's going to sting the most at 8:00 in Indianapolis, Indiana, the Big Ten Championship. You've got Oregon, the only undefeated team, against Penn State, who suddenly just strolled right in after the season looked bleak. Hey, yeah, we're going to get in the playoffs. That's fine. But now they've got a chance to win it all. And you've got Oregon. You've got Penn State. What's the spread on that one, Josh?
Oregon is favored by 3.5 points.
3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Really? You think that's a little low?
No, I think that's a little high. I think that
really?
I think I might. I don't know if I'm going to take it. I definitely, at this point in the week, I'm definitely leaning Penn State. If you're looking to bet on Penn State, I do expect the number to grow higher because I feel like Oregon is going to be a very public team. There's going to be a lot of bets pointed on them. But Penn State's tough. Penn State, we talked about it when Ohio State played them. They got a big, powerful front seven on the defensive side of the ball. Yep. Drew Allard can sling the bitch. They hammer down your throat with their run game. they do just enough in the passing game with guys like Tyler Warren and Harrison Walls and even Julian Fleming to make life not fun. The defensive backfield is very good with Winston and Wheatley and all those guys. They're going to make Oregon has not played a lot of teams as good as Penn State. Maybe the best, maybe the closest is Ohio State, and that was at home in Autzen. And Ryan Day's a better coach than James Franklin, but I don't think that I don't think that there's a huge difference. I think they're going to have a hard time. I mean, Oregon has played a lot better. Every week that goes by, they impress me more and more and more. They put their foot on the throat of Washington last week. There's no denying that. Early in the year, they did not play well. They didn't play well against Michigan State. They didn't play well against even Idaho. They didn't play well against Boise State. So I think Penn State's got a shot here because Penn State's been impressive too, man. They beat the shit out of Maryland, and not a lot of people thought that they would. So,
yeah. So
what's up, Greg? Yeah, we agree, Greg. The Ohio State, they are losers. Yes, we are.
Yes,
losers.
We'll get them all in there.
You're gonna get them all in there.
Penn State will run well over Oregon. Who you taking, Josh? Who you taking? You taking Oregon? You taking Penn State?
Did I not say? I said Penn State, didn't I?
No, you were just telling me how.
Oh, I just rambled on.
Their front seven are. I'd go Oregon. I would want to go Oregon, but I think that James Franklin, with his tandem of running backs, will run the ball in a successful manner we expected Ohio State to do. And I'm going to have to go with Melissa here as well. I was going to go Oregon, but I saw Melissa drop Penn State in the chat, so I'm going Penn State.
Well, we gotta make sure that we get the long dong crypto. I think we've made it. When we see a crypto name, we've made it, Chris. But Beta Meta Columbus throated the flagpole. Yeah. They did not play well. I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but we were not very flattering towards Ohio State. So, yes, I didn't say throated, but perhaps I will add that to the source. Can't be alpha males from Ann Arbor. Well, like I said, we definitely talked about there being a definite difference in toughness. And that was, I guess that's one thing we didn't really talk about that a whole lot.
Soft. Some would say soft.
Yeah, I would spell it SAWFT to be a little bit cooler. Long dogs,
right.
But
no,
you can't eat it at all. And the presser, we didn't talk about that. Sharon Moore he had this air of confidence to him,
rightfully so.
He also mentioned, they just no. We don't have to go back to. We spent 45 minutes talking about the Ohio State Michigan game, and it was.
Hey, boss, you guys won. You're allowed. You won the last couple times. It's yours to have. It's yours to have.
Yeah. No, I also, I don't know if you long dong. I don't know if you heard. We also disagree with Ohio State that we being bitches about the flag too. You lost. Get in the fucking locker room. Let them plant the flag.
There's that old saying: if you win, you say little. You lose, you say even less. If you didn't want them running out there planting the flag, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a proponent of planting flags. I think it's kind of just whatever. But just win the fucking game.
Oh, I think you got to do it.
I think you do now.
That's how you got to put your balls on the other team. That's what happened. You win, you get to put your balls wherever you want. That's your house now.
I mean,
that's your house.
It has been for half a decade.
But when you fight back and you retaliate, it makes you. I know that some people are like, oh yeah, they had to fight back and protect their house. Ryan Day even said that in the presser, and I'm thinking, dude, you had 60 minutes to do that. You had 60 fucking minutes to do that. Go to the fucking locker room. Reflect on the bad deeds that you did. Fight like that in the game, motherfucker. Like, dude, like.
Well, I think anybody who's an Ohio State fan, I know they've seen the video of just Ryan Day sitting there in awe of an unconsolable Jack Sawyer just losing his shit, and he's just like frozen in fear.
Bro, it's like, what are you doing? Get them the fuck in the locker room. It's fucking embarrassing, dude. Getting pepper sprayed and shit after you fucking lose. Sark
wins with grace. Hook him.
He has been sober lately, so maybe.
That's a good one. Myers 7-0, 0 flags planted. Hey.
Yeah, because if Ohio State beats Michigan, which they won't, I would want them to plant the. That's fine. I don't plant the flag. Do that. You lose. I get to put my balls wherever I want. That's the rules, dude. That's the rules.
No, I'm wholeheartedly with you. And like I said, it's just to see. Trestle 9-1, no flags planted. The senator had class.
Yes.
But no, hey, me and my armchair coaching philosophy, I'm not a flag planter. But hey, if you come in there as a 20-point underdog, you're lucky just a flag got planted. Let's be real.
But I want to be clear. If you're asking like, hey, if you were a coach, how would you approach it? I probably wouldn't let my kids plant the flag either. I would try to have more grace than that, sure.
Yes.
But if my kids lost and the other team planted their flag, the way they fought and they retaliated and dragged it out. Because you dragged it out. You lost. Move on. Go home. We lost. Go move on, man.
The flags planted mean more today with social media. Everything means more with social media. It's just the oversaturation of it, Roy. I mean, how many different scuffles or flag plants did we see this week versus the last decade or so of flags being planted? Let's be real.
I think that you see more flags being planted now. I do because of social media, but shit like that's always happened, right? It's just like tearing down goalposts. What was it, like the D2 game over the weekend where they won and they tore down the goalposts and took it for like 5 miles down the road? It wasn't on TV. That's pretty fucking dope. You know what I mean? Like that stuff.
The Vanderbilt win over Alabama, that thing went all over the state.
That shit. I think that shit happens. I think that people are making a big deal. I don't want to see them be like, I don't want to see some weird rule come out where they're like, if you plant a flag, you gotta get fined and suspended. But you're right. I think that if I was a coach, I'd be like, nah, we're not doing that, guys. Let's get the fuck out of here. You won the game, act like you've been here before. But I don't want to see anybody get fined either, though, or be something weird. It is what it is, man. I was just, Ohio State's my team, and I have a stronger opinion about how they reacted than Michigan.
No, wholeheartedly. Long Dong, thank you. I hope that you jump back in here next week. Yeah, we'll find something. We're going to find something to talk about next week. We're going to talk about.
We appreciate we appreciate the well wishes for next year as well. But if Ryan Day is still here, we don't. Yeah. It's not going to.
I appreciate the good game, but I didn't watch a good game from the Ohio State team.
If Ryan Day's still here, the good luck's not going to matter.
So we're past our hour, but believe me, this one was going to run long regardless. To the 94 people that clicked on in, thank you for being. Yeah, well, here we go. Long Dong again. We've got mini helmets are sick. Thank you, Roy. I'm sure he thanks you. I never mind.
That's Danny, by the way. That's Samantha's, my sister's fiance.
Oh, okay. And Long Dong, I'm trolling. See you guys later today. Yeah, again, Long Dong, thanks, boss. You've earned it. But you've earned it. We're at an hour and 20. We went longer than we have. We've got an ounce of our real frustration out, which is a frustration I'm sure that is that's being echoed amongst all Ohio State fans now. It is what it is. You take this.
Not enough.
Not enough. No, wholeheartedly not enough. But each and every one of you, we do appreciate you jumping in. We will be back next week. Next week, we will be talking because we anticipate college football playoff seedings to be announced Sunday night, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sunday night, which still confuses me. This is the world's biggest hypothetical. Imagine if Army went in and upset Notre Dame, and then college football, and then they go and win this conference championship that they're playing in this weekend at West Point, and they get a college football ranking and a seeding. They still have that game the following week against Army and Navy. Isn't that wild?
Well, they played Navy. Didn't they play Navy earlier this year too?
No, they always have the week after. It's always the week after. I thought
Army Navy. Did they not play? No, you're right. They did not play twice. But there will be seasons in the future where they do play it twice, I believe, because this doesn't count towards their conference record.
Right.
Their game, the Army Navy game, does not count towards either's conference record. But I believe that there will be games in the future that will.
You were at the wedding, you goon.
I blocked it out, Danny, and you know why. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Hopefully, I like these fake names. I want more. Maybe like a Mike Oxball. If someone wants to jump on with that.
Hey, you want to jump on? Long Dong, we'll welcome you back next week. You just drop a like and a subscribe on there, and hell, we'll bring you on with a name like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell us why.
She watches 30 seconds of this fucking show, and that's the part she catches. How dare her?
My wife's never seen this. I don't know what you're going on about.
Oh, really?
She says I go into the room for an hour and just start yelling.
Well, Justine only sees it when I have it on the on all the TVs when she walks in from work, as I'm trying to get her viewership up.
Right. Just give those extra clicks. I have my boy Brian Dingle hopping next week.
Yeah.
You bring them all in. Bring them all in.
Bring all the fake. I'll say them all. See if you can get it. I want to say it, and then not real. That's when you know you win. If you give us a fake name and I read it and not realize that it's fake, you know what I mean? Like
put some thought into it, folks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, put some thought into it. But from myself and of course my lifelong friend Josh here, we are not playing football this weekend. We are just watching. We've got no sweat in this, or no skin in this game, and or this weekend. Yeah, but to the teams that are out there, hey, Penn State, Oregon, we've got some Big Ten representation this weekend, and we will be back next Monday with episode 56. We will be talking about Ohio State's matchup, if they're going to be in the shoe, if they're going to go traveling, who knows? And we're going to talk about the rest of the playoff matchups, you know?
Should we do our, like, before we get into the playoff matchups, what we would do playoff wise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wholeheartedly for it. We can always jump back on. Yeah, without question. Without question. But this was the last Ohio State of Mind of the regular season. We will be back later this week. In 1 week's time, we will be talking college football matchups. We'll be talking predictions. We want to hear from you. What do you want to see? What atmosphere and environments you're hoping? Because I know that this is the first weekend, we've got a bunch of snow at some college games. You know, we've got teams traveling all over the country. We've got our first ever universities hosting playoff games. It's a fun and unprecedented thing, and we are here for it. And if we're here for it, we're here for you for it. And we're going to bring it to you next week on the Ohio State of Mind podcast. I'm Chris. You can see me on crunyon15 at X. Josh?
Yeah, follow me on X at Josh Keatley16. As always, you can follow my work at Buckeyes Wire. Definitely give us a like, subscribe. We're also on Spotify. Those get up the next day. So yeah, man, if you could give us some clicks on there, we would be ever so grateful. We are slowly rising since Chris Runyon has taken over the show as producer and host. Go check out at least check out the numbers to see how impressive it is, how far he's gotten this bitch. And I'm just piggybacking.
Hey, jump on, boss. I'm sure you've got probably a baby Bjorn at the house ready to go, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. But I'm Chris. That's Josh. This has been the Ohio State of Mind podcast. We will see you next week. Take care of yourselves and others. Go Bucks. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go. I don't know. We'll be back. See you next week.